Hey guys, welcome. I am here up on Instagram. Let's see. Let's get settled here. All right, so today is the first of our Financially Fit Fridays. Let's change this. 1 second. There we go. I had yesterday's slip on there. So today's going to be kind of a quick live because I am going to be baking all day and I'm putting together a course, a money mindset course for Felicia Goldpaul's financial control mastery group program. So I'm super excited about that. I'll be working with them. But if you are new to me, my name is Tina Marie. I'm a mindset and success coach for overwhelmed entrepreneurs. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch. Go ahead and put hashtag replay so I can come and say hello to you. But today is the first of a series of financial tips. My background is also in accounting, not just business. And so I've been asked to start sharing a little bit more of how to make accounting more applicable to small business, but also some financial tips and strategies to help you be more profitable and more sound, financially sound in your business. Now, who doesn't want that? So one of the things I want to first talk about today is, hi, Leah, thanks for joining, is every bank accounts that every business owner should need. So I used to teach this to my bookkeeping clients. I still teach this to my current clients. And the thing about most business owners, you probably only have one checking account, which is your operating account, where you have all your sales going in there and you pay all your expenses in there. And you might have a savings account that you never ever utilize. Most people don't. So what I like to tell my business owners is to create a checking account that's just for operations, which you probably already standardly have. You want to have a savings account that you can't reach, that's not easy to like just touch, and to save money for your taxes. So every time you get revenue in, you want to allocate, I tell them 15%. That seems to be the average. And move that into your savings account. I've seen too many of my clients, both bookkeeping and business coaching clients, that don't save money for taxes. And then when tax time comes around, you're caught with your pants down and you're like, where am I going to find this money? So plan ahead for your taxes. Even if you don't use all that money, you can either leave it in there for the next tax pay period, whether you pay quarterly or annually, or you can move that into the third account that I say, I call it a cash and reserves. But if you've ever read Profit First, they call this the profit holding account. So again, this is one of those accounts that you don't want to have easy access to. And you would move a percentage of the money that you make, a percentage of your sales, your gross revenue, and you want to move that into this third bank account called, you can call it cash and reserves, you can call it a profit holding account, whichever. And this is money that you want to save for any contingencies in the future. So let's say you're just starting out, regardless if you are service-based or a brick and mortar like retail, you might need to buy equipment in the future. You may need to replace equipment in the future. Maybe it's saving money for hiring someone or hiring a business coach, or you want to move into a physical office instead of working from home. This is the type of money that you want to save in there. And also, this is the account that's going to help you save maybe 3 to 6 months of expenses, business expenses, where if you have a slow season, you can kind of dip in there if you have as a last minute resort. So if you haven't read Profit First, we just reread this in the Lucrative Lounge, my Facebook community. And I say reread because I reread it, but other people are probably the first time to read it. The author, Mike, goes even further with this strategy. And so what he says is to have a total of 7 accounts. And I know that seems like a lot, but I get the logic behind it. So instead of having one account that will have all your operating transactions, he splits them into 2. So you'll have one checking account where all your income, all your revenue and sales will be going into, and that's the account that you're going to funnel money into all the other accounts. The second account he talks about is operating expenses. This account is strictly for any expenses that you have. It's your monthly expenses or any annual expenses that you have, and you would move exactly a percentage of your sales into that to cover any expenses. The third account he talks about is called owner's compensation. So regardless if you get a salary or if you are a sole proprietor or part of a partnership and you just pay, is there a bank you prefer for these? I struggle to implement because the banks all charge fees for the accounts. I do my research. Look, there's a lot of credit unions in town that will either waive the fees or they don't have fees at all. There's one bank I think I know. There's a couple online business bank accounts, but if you take a lot of cash transactions, I don't recommend the online banks because it's not really easy for you to deposit the cash. But if you're strictly digital and online, there is Aslo, I believe. And there is, but I think that you only open one account there. I'm not sure, so you have to check. But you can research a lot of free bank accounts. What I did was free business bank accounts, and then I put my city, Tucson. So Google free business checking accounts and put your city in, and you'll get a list of different businesses. There's a couple of here in Tucson, Pima Credit Union, and I want to say 1AZ Credit Union. They have no fees. And that's usually for businesses that don't have a high volume of revenue or transactions that are great to start. But one strategy in the book that the author talks about is if you take the book in or you talk about it, you can go and make an appointment with, they call them like business agents or business associates, usually at the banks who are specifically for business bank accounts. If you tell them about what this strategy is, you can even just say profit first, and the reasoning for all these different checking accounts, you can try to negotiate getting the fees off. If nothing else, get fees off of the ones that are not going to have a ton of money in them, and maybe just have the monthly fees that probably could be waived by the amount of transactions you use or how much you keep in them when it comes to like the operating and the sales. So try to negotiate with your bank and sit down. And if they're not willing to negotiate, I mean, you're opening several different bank accounts. Most banks are happy that you're going to open an account with them. So see if you can negotiate with that. Thank you. I've been checking around, but hadn't thought of Googling it that way. Yeah, it's the best way to just add your city wherever and then say free business checking accounts. And a lot of times your credit unions will have free checking accounts. I think BBVA has a free checking account, but I'm not certain. So just double check. But a lot of times you can negotiate the fees. So going back, is there a point in your business that you should be using this strategy? I say right away. And the reason why I say right away, and the author of this book says to do this right away, is you're training your brain. You're training your brain to function this way. Most business owners don't think like accountants. They're not super numbers oriented. And even if you're super numbers oriented, the thing is, there's even classes on it. It's called behavioral finance. We use money and process money and use transactions in an emotional way. And so a lot of times as business owners, we'll pull up our bank accounts and we'll see a number. And we're like, okay, I have that amount of money in there. That means I can spend it. Hey, Brandy, thanks for joining. So a lot of times you'll end up spending more money just because you see your bank account high, but you're not thinking about your automatic transactions that might be coming out soon. You're not thinking about any checks that you have written that haven't processed yet. So start it right away and do a small percentage. So let's say if you're a brand new business, majority of your money is going to be for expenses. You know, startup expenses. You're going to be buying a lot of things up front, or you may not be having a lot of revenue coming in at first because you're just starting up. So you may have your percentages allocated a different way. So for example, in the book, he talks about just starting at 1%, saving 1% for your profits and moving that to a different checking account. Always do 15% for taxes because you always want to be covered. And then figure out how much you want to pay yourself starting in the beginning. You can check on industry standards. even if you're just doing a side hustle, maybe your goal is just pay yourself $100 a month. So you'll know for a flat $100, you'll pay that, and then everything else will go to expenses as you start to build up. Another thing that a lot of business owners fall into the trap of is, especially in the beginning, even in the first 3 years, they're like, any extra money that comes in, I'm going to reinvest it. So they end up buying new things and paying for more things and hiring before they're ready. This will set you up for success, and you're going to have profits already set aside. So start right away if you can. And you don't have to have the perfect allocations when it comes to percentages, like how much you should be paying yourself. When it comes to saving for profit, start small and then start working your way down. This will force you to also work lean. When you have a certain amount of money only allocated for expenses and you only see that money in that account. So let's say after you did all your allocations, you have $500 in your expense account. And after all of that, all your like monthly expenses already coming out, you can kind of look to see, can you upgrade? Are you going to save some of that money to hire someone super part-time, like a virtual assistant? So it really helps you think critically and not overspend in the very, very beginning. I've seen people with $1 million companies that are living paycheck to paycheck because they just keep hiring new people. They keep opening new commercial buildings, and they could really have just easily scaled into that and still be able to pay ourselves. So this is going to get you in the mindset to think lean, be profitable from the start, and build up into actually hiring people or scaling into those bigger things. So maybe you start off with MailChimp in the very beginning because it's cheap. I mean, it's free, but you know there's like an email marketing software system that you want to work up to that's going to cost maybe $50 a month. So that's something you can plan in your budget. And as you start building in more revenue and making more revenue, you can slowly work into that. We just aren't patient as business owners. And whenever we see money, we think, oh, that's money that I can spend. So this is going to train your brain to actually work with less and still be successful. And I haven't met any person, regardless of me teaching this, or every business owner that implements Profit First are super happy and they are growing rapidly. So I would start even from the very beginning. And if you can't open those 5 accounts, just start with the 3 that I talked about. So have your operating account that has all your income and expenses coming out. Immediate pay yourself. So that could be your personal checking account, but set up a savings account, 2 of them. You can choose whether it's a savings or a checking account. So I'm not going to tell you one or the other, but set up 2 out in an outside bank. Or talk to your bank to make sure that's not easily accessible, because their tax money is not your money, it's the government's money. So don't try to make it as difficult as possible to dip into that, so you're not stealing from yourself and you're not putting yourself in a position later down the road not having the money for that. And then that other account to put all your profits in. And what Profit First, the author says, is every quarter, you want to take half of what's in your Profit First holding account or profit account and pay yourself. It's like a bonus, a quarterly bonus, whether it's $5 or $500 or $5,000. He says, use that money strictly for you, and the other half stays in there, never to be touched until you use it for that contingency plan, whether it's buying a commercial building or moving into an office or buying brand new equipment. This is great for anybody. You could be a photographer working by yourself. Maybe you want to save for a new camera. I know those lenses cost like hundreds. Some of them are thousands of dollars. So this is a great way to work into that. So at least start with those 3. And then as you start seeing more income, more revenue coming in, then you can go talk to your bank about opening up the other accounts. So to go back, some of you are just popping in and I didn't get to finish the 5 accounts. So the first account that you really want to open when it comes to the Profit First model is strictly just an income account. So all your revenue, all your sales are going to go in there. Second one is an operating expense account. So only your expenses are coming out of that account. And the third one is the owner's compensation. So like I said, regardless if you're on payroll or not, or you're doing owner's draws, is this is the account that you'll automatically move money into to allocate to your pay. So whether you do a set amount of money or if you're going to go by a percentage, that's what you're going to use and move money into that account. And then the other two is, he calls it a tax transfer account. And then the fifth one is a profit transfer account. And I was kind of against this when I read this, but now I understand the thought process. So it usually takes your bank about 2 to 3 days to transfer the money to a different bank. So he says to set up these checking accounts because once you move the money from your income account into these accounts, it's immediate. But if you were to transfer the money to an outside account, it could still be sitting in your bank account, your income bank account. And you might see that as money that you have already and end up spending it. So it's the idea of just trying to make it easier for yourself to like not dip into that money. So that those accounts are to strictly move money into the other accounts. So think about those. But like I said, if you're just starting out, at least get the income, the operating a checking account. And if you're able to open up a second account, that could be the account where it could be you can split up the income and operating expenses. You would just move money to pay yourself automatically each time. I do it twice a month. So I do my bookkeeping weekly, but I actually do the moving of the money twice a month. Yeah. On the 10th and the 25th, it was actually recommended in the book. And this is the time where you'll move all the money from each account. And those are the days that you can pay your bills. None of them are coming out automatically. So if you have to pay vendors through a COD, so those are the things that you can start doing and implementing. That way you're not stressing yourself out about, do I have enough money, or forgetting to pay bills. But definitely save money for taxes. So find those accounts and go open those now, and a profit holding account, or as I like to call it, a cash and reserves account. Is there any other questions you guys have about the bank accounts and separating your money? The big logic behind that is when we see numbers, we think that's exactly what we have. And it's a great way to it's like the envelope system for personal finance, but it's moved into a digital way of bank accounts and a better way to manage your money. So you're not tempted to rob from yourself, essentially, because that's what we end up doing. I don't know how many times, even I did this in the beginning, even though I taught this, it's a behavioral thing. And so what you're doing is really training yourself to not steal from yourself, and be able to scale at a great level. And if you're not making enough to cover your expenses or pay yourself, then that is a trigger to kind of look at, are your offerings working? Like the type of items that you're selling, your services you're offering, are they selling? Or are you not marketing enough? Or do you need to enhance your sales strategy? And then once you implement that, then you can start getting into a place where you can pay yourself. Thanks for the hearts. All right. If you don't have any more questions, guys, about this, and if you're catching this on the replay, go ahead and drop your questions in the comments here. I'm going to save this video on Instagram to my IG. What's the difference between a savings and a cash and reserves? Savings is more, so I say too about tax savings. That's strictly for taxes. If you want to have a savings account for your business, I would only use that for immediate expenses, like a small emergency fund to cover, let's say if your bank account overdrafts for some reason, or you need to have money in just like a personal savings account, like 2 to 3 months of expenses that you want to have saved just to cover something for an emergency, or you get like a ridiculous bill. So let's say if you have a brick and mortar commercial business, and your water bill is just skyrockets for some reason, you can kind of use that to help cover that. A cash and reserves account is really like the profit holding account. You're really saving that money for future growth. It's not something you're going to tap into like once a year. It's something that you're going to save money for growth. So for example, maybe someone who has a food truck would use that money to actually move into, have 6 months to maybe a year's worth of rent for a commercial space for a restaurant saved up, and then they're ready for that. So they don't really have to go get a ton of investors. That's something they can move up to. Like I said about a photographer, Or even if you're a solopreneur, that might be money that you can be saving. So you would have 6 months or maybe a year's worth of salary for a new team member. So let's say that you want to onboard a virtual assistant or an actual assistant. You can have that money saved. So even if you hired that person and you had some slow months, you know their paycheck is covered and you could still run your business, because now it's to the point where you need an assistant and you can't have that. Or maybe you want to save money for new equipment. Like I said, the photographer, maybe you want to save money just in case your camera breaks. You may have insurance on there, but then you might need to replace some lenses. So it's like for bigger things. Or you want to save money to go for professional certification programs that might cost thousands and thousands of dollars. So those are the difference. Like the savings account is like an easily accessible for immediate emergencies, and the cash and reserves account is something for that you would have as for future growth down the road in 2 or 3 years, or maybe a year, depending how fast you're growing. I hope that answers your question, Leah. All right, guys, I cover a lot of this in my program, Employee to CEO. We are actually going to be doing a 5-day challenge in middle of next month. You can start signing up on Monday. It's in 5 days. You're going to learn how to step into the mindset of an actual business owner. So you don't work in this hamster wheel where you feel like you're just busy, but not seeing any results, and actual strategies and steps that you can put into place. So similar stuff that I'm teaching here. So stay tuned for that. I will be live streaming Monday through Friday moving forward at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm finding more people are up that time and everyone's having afternoon meetings. So I will see you then. Mondays is all about mindset. So we'll talk about money mindset, business mindset, and just mindset in general. Tuesdays is all about business strategies. Wednesdays is all about wellness. We need to be health as well. So we need to take care of ourselves and how we can always stay energetic and be optimal for this entrepreneurship, because it is not easy. Thursdays is Ask Me Anything. So come with your questions. It could be anything. It could be talking about brain health. We can talk about neurolinguistic programming, business strategies, anything you have questions for that you don't really have the time to sit with someone. This is a great way to pick my brain. And I talk about a specific topic that day, like current events that might be affecting your business. Like right now it's COVID and everything reopening. And then Fridays, again, it's going to be Financially Fit Fridays, where I give you either business strategies. I teach you something different when it comes to small business. That way it's not too intimidating. I will see you guys later. Thanks so much for joining me. And I will see you guys on Monday. Bye, guys.